Under the harsh glow of a corner store's buzzing light, a single father stands with his daughter's small hand tucked in his palm. Across from him, a leather-clad biker faces disgrace. Nobody expects what happens next. A few crumpled bills, a brave voice, and by dawn, everything changes. Before we start today's story, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Also, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers and bring you more inspiring stories every day. The store smells of stale coffee and cheap detergent. Jack Nolan, a single father of 37, waits in line with his daughter, Lily, clutching a carton of milk. His boots are worn, the soles uneven, his shirt damp from the cold rain outside. At his side, Lily's eyes wander nervously. A man. In front of them, a biker with tangled hair. A heavy leather vest stitched with a flaming skull argues with the cashier. His card has been declined 3 times. His basket is simple: bread, cereal, a carton of eggs, and baby formula. The crowd shifts uneasily, whispering, "He's trying to steal," someone mutters. The biker's jaw clenches as the security guard steps closer. Lily squeezes Jack's hand tighter. Jack sees the shame radiating from the man's hunched shoulders, and suddenly, he recognizes that look. He's worn it himself back when rumors ended his career, when neighbors turned away, when he held Lily's hand through every hungry night. Jack breathes deep, steps forward, and reaches into his pocket. Jack pulls out damp bills, barely enough for his own groceries. His hand trembles as he lays them on the counter, one by one, soft as a prayer. The room falls silent, every whisper stilled. "Use mine," Jack says, voice steady but low. The biker's head jerks toward him, disbelief flashing in his bloodshot eyes. He tries to push the money back, but Jack closes a calloused hand over his wrist. Not rough, just enough to say there's no argument to be had. "You don't even know me," the biker mutters. Jack doesn't flinch. "Someone should have done the same for me." The cashier swallows, slides the groceries across. A laugh erupts from the back of the line, sharp and mean, but Jack lifts his chin. "You see leather and call him trouble. You see me and call me broken. Look around. How many do you push down just to feel taller?" Even security freezes. Lily stares up at her dad, pride wide in her eyes. Outside, an engine idles in the rain. When the automatic doors sigh open, the biker steps into the rain, clutching a plastic bag. He lingers in the glow of the streetlight, staring back at Jack, who now balances milk and Lily's tiny backpack. "Why'd you do that?" the biker asks. His voice is raw, almost childlike. Jack shrugs, rain dripping from his hair. "Because someone should have done it for me." For a moment, the biker can't speak. He grips the bag until the plastic cuts into his knuckles. Then he mutters his name, Reese Malloy. To most, he's just Ghost, a Hell's Angel fallen from grace. After a stint in prison. Jack nods but doesn't ask for more. He's not the type to demand stories from broken men. He turns, Lily tugging him toward home, but a teenager across the lot lifts his phone, capturing shaky footage of the barefoot kindness, the biker's shame, and Jack's steady words. By dawn, the clip will have traveled farther than either man could imagine. Jack and Lily's house sits at the edge of town, a sagging 2-story with peeling paint and a roof patched in plastic tarps. The fire last winter had left its mark, black scars across the siding. Inside, the walls whisper their struggle. Drafts sneak through cracks. A single lamp flickers where the ceiling once leaked. Jack's hands ache from double shifts at the factory, but it's never enough to catch up. Lily curls up on a thin mattress in the living room. Because her bedroom ceiling is still too weak to trust, she hugs her stuffed rabbit close, watching her father silently pace the room. He thinks of what he gave away at that store as last $20. He thinks of the storm damage, the unpaid bills, the landlord's warnings, Yet when he looks at Lily, he knows he'd do it again. Because sometimes dignity doesn't live in a bank account. Sometimes it lives in the moment you stand between judgment and another man's fall. Meanwhile, Reese Ghost Malloy sits astride his bike. At the edge of town, the bag of groceries heavy against his leg. His engine growls beneath him, but his thoughts are louder. He's been called outlaw, junkie. Disgrace. Once, the patch on his vest meant brotherhood, protection, pride. Now it feels like a warning label. Townspeople cross streets when they see him. Employers slam doors in his face. Even his old chapter keeps its distance. But tonight, a stranger, a single dad with nothing dispersed taller than anyone ever had for him. Reese feels the words stuck in his throat. Thank you. They sound too thin, too fragile for a man like him to speak. Then he notices headlights behind him. A rusted sedan slows, and inside, a teenager leans forward, phone screen glowing. Reese realizes the kid has been filming since aisle 3. The world will see this. Jack's words. His last crumpled bills, the dignity that silenced gossip. For the first time in years, hope sparks in Reese's chest. By morning, the video spreads like wildfire. The caption is blunt. Single dad pays for Hell's Angel after town calls him a thief. No music, no polish, just shaky footage of Jack's damp bills laid on the counter and his steady words lifting like a gavel. Truck drivers share it at dawn, sipping bitter coffee in neon diners. Teachers pass it through group chats labeled kindness stories. By mid-morning, the footage stirs strangers across states, some scoffing, others confessing, that was my father once, that was my brother. But when it lands in the group chats of bikers across the country, the tone shifts. Men in leather vests, scarred by judgment and exile, recognize the shame in Reese's bowed head. They recognize the stand Jack took. And when Reese's old chapter sees it, something stirs. A patch is more than a warning. It's a brotherhood that remembers debts. And this debt to a single dad with nothing demands to be repaid. That afternoon, Jack walks home from work, shoulders hunched against the drizzle. Lily skips beside him, holding his rough hand. They pass neighbors who pretend not to see them. Eyes glance at the ruined house, then slide away. Rumors travel faster than apologies. But Jack doesn't know yet that engines have already roared to life miles away. Messages bounce across biker chapters like sparks on dry grass. One man tells another, we owe him. By evening, Reese knocks on Jack's door. Jack opens it, exhaustion etched deep into his face. Reese stands there, dripping leather and trembling hands. You don't know it yet, Reese says. But something's coming. Jack frowns. What do you mean? Reese just shakes his head, pressing a folded napkin into Jack's palm. On it, rough lines form the outline of a house walls, a roof, a porch. Jack stares, stunned. Reese's voice cracks. We're rebuilding what you lost. Engines rumble faintly in the distance, growing louder with every heartbeat. At first, Jack thinks it's thunder rolling in from the horizon. The sky is gray, heavy, promising rain. But then the sound deepens, low, steady, mechanical. A growl that grows into a roar. Lily runs to the porch, eyes wide. Down the street, headlights snake around the corner. 1, then 10, then 50 neighbors step onto porches, clutching mugs and cardigans, whispering trouble as if the word might shield them. But this isn't trouble. This is something else. By the time the engines flood Jack's block, more than 300 bikers fill the street, leather vests dusted in road grime, boots heavy with purpose, eyes sharp with recognition. They dismount, boots crunching gravel, forming a silent wall of men. At their front, Reese steps forward, holding up the napkin sketch. Jack's heart stutters. Why are you here? Reese's voice is steady now, no longer cracked with shame. Because, brother, your stand was bigger than you know, and we don't let that go unpaid. The first hammer falls before Jack can even process what's happening. A biker with arms like tree trunks hefts a plank onto his shoulder and slams it against the house's broken siding. Another unrolls, tarps, snapping them into place with the rhythm of men who know hard work by heart. Jack stands frozen, Lily tugging at his hand. "Daddy, they're fixing it." Neighbors gather, stunned. Some whisper about gangs, about outlaws reclaiming a brother. But as nails crack and drills whine, their doubts fade under the sheer force of unity. Reese crouches beside Jack, grease smudged on his cheek. "We're not here to take, man. We're here to give back what you gave me." Jack shakes his head, overwhelmed. "You don't owe me this." Reese grins, voice sharp with conviction. "That's where you're wrong. The world owes you more than this house. But we'll start here." Jack feels the napkin sketch crumpled in his palm, now coming alive board by board. The street thrums like a festival, though no one dares call. At that, kids press against curbs, eyes wide at the thunder of engines and leather-clad men climbing ladders. Women peer from behind screen doors, muttering prayers they never thought they'd speak for bikers. Lily watches a tattooed giant hammer beams into place with precision. She runs to fetch nails from a bucket, her small hands carrying them like treasure. The man takes them gently, nodding. "Thanks, sweetheart." For Jack, the sound is surreal. He's spent months drowning in silence, just creaks of a failing house. And his daughter's whispers in the night. Now, every slam of wood, every hum of saws feels like a heartbeat restarting in walls. He thought we're dead. Still, doubt gnaws. Jack remembers neighbors who turned their backs when his wife left. When rumors painted him reckless, trust had rotted from him long ago. Could this really be different? He grips the tool belt tossed at his feet. His hands itch to help, but fear holds him still. Randy notices. He doesn't drag Jack forward or shout his name over the drills. Instead, he walks quietly to where Jack stands frozen at the edge of the lot. He presses a heavy hand on Jack's back, steady as stone. "You good, brother?" Randy asks. Jack swallows. His voice cracks. "Don't call me that. Not if you're just gonna leave tomorrow and forget I exist." The hammering slows, men pausing, as if the weight of Jack's words echoes louder than their tools. Memories crash over him, neighbors who once called him friend, then nailed his name to rumors. A wife who packed her bags without looking back. A landlord who threatened eviction like it was a kindness. Randy doesn't flinch. His palm stays pressed against Jack's shoulders. "I call you brother because you are. Ain't about what you give back. Ain't about what you owe. It's about the stand you took when no one else would." We don't ride off from that. For the first time, Jack believes him. The work continues, louder now, fueled by something deeper than muscle. Walls rise where rot once sagged. Windows are set back into frames long abandoned to drafts. The porch takes shape, wide enough for Lily's laughter to echo against fresh timber. But then, across the street, a knot of townsfolk gathers. At their front stands the grocery store manager, the same man who nearly called the cops last night. His face is pale, his hands twisting nervously round a baseball cap. He clears his throat. "I was wrong," he says, voice breaking. "Didn't see you, didn't see him, only saw what made it easy to look away." Jack stares, words tangled in his throat. The apology isn't smooth, isn't polished, but it's real. Then an old neighbor steps forward, tears trembling on her lashes. She presses a Tupperware into Jack's hands. "Years I watched you sleep in cold. Should have asked if you were hungry. I'm sorry." Jack clutches the food like it's gold. For once, silence feels like forgiveness. By sundown, the house begins to resemble itself again, not broken, not abandoned, but alive. Fresh timber glows under the setting sun. Nails hammered flush into beams that stand straight and proud. Jack finally picks up a hammer. His palms blister instantly, but he doesn't care. With every swing, He feels old chains falling away. Lily cheers as he nails the last board onto her bedroom wall. Her laughter sweeter than any music. The bikers cheer to rough voices, coarse laughter, but filled with warmth. Engines idle like purring giants, waiting for the next task. Neighbors linger, some still suspicious, others softened. Kids sneak closer, peering wide-eyed at vests stitched with skulls and flames. And through it all, Jack feels something shifting inside him. For years, he's carried shame like a second skin. Tonight, the weight lifts, nail by nail, board by board. When he finally sets the hammer down, he realizes he isn't trembling from fear anymore. He's trembling from hope. Inside, the biker's handiwork transforms shadows into shelter. Bare floors wait for rugs, but they're clean, solid, safe. A chipped coffee pot hums on a counter someone built from scratch. But what nearly buckles? Jack's knees is tucked against the back wall. A workbench, fresh sanded. Tools gleam in neat rose hammers, wrenches, screwdrivers, each one shining like soldiers who've returned to stand guard. Above them hangs a wooden sign, letters burned. And by hand, Nolan repairs open again. Jack grips the bench, throat tight. For a moment, he sees flashes of the life he lost, the shop where neighbors once gathered. The afternoons when Lily's giggles echoed between aisles stacked with paint and nails. He sees the dignity stripped from him by whispers and ruin. And now, he sees it given back, one plank at a time. Behind him, Randy claps his shoulder. Voice rough but steady. We didn't just build walls. We built back your name. Don't forget that. Jack nods, tears hot in his eyes. The street outside glows with the soft rumble of engines cooling. Some bikers lean against fences. Others laugh around a bucket of nails. But when Randy reaches into his vest, the crowd grows quiet. He pulls out a cracked leather vest, black but clean. Across its back, stitched in white thread, are two words, Brotherhood Keeper. Underneath, one word more powerful than any rumor. Family. Randy tosses it to Jack. This ain't about a gang or a patch. This is about who showed up when the world turned its back. Jack runs his rough palm across the leather. The word family catches under his fingers like an ember refusing to die. He looks at Randy, at the men who nod silently behind him. No Hell's Angel patch, no outlaw's mark. Just a promise, for the first time. Jack isn't just a man surviving. He's a man belonging. The house is good. The tools are better. But this is the real rebuild. At dawn, sunlight spills across the porch boards. Jack stands barefoot, a chipped mug of hot coffee in hand. The wood under his feet is warm, smooth, not damp cardboard, not cracked concrete. From here, he can see the shed with its crooked sign. Nolan repairs open again. The letters gleam gold in the morning light. A promise reborn. Lily runs across the porch, her laughter bouncing off the new walls. She spots a boy on a rusty bike down the street. The chain slips, rattling. The boy coasts to a stop, embarrassed. Jack chuckles, lifting his mug. Bring it here, little man. Let me fix that. The boy hesitates, then wheels the bike up the porch. Jack kneels, sleeves rolled, fingers blackened with grease as he snaps the chain back into place. As he works, a low rumble drifts down the street, an engine, familiar and steady. Randy rides past slow, lifting two fingers from the clutch. He doesn't stop. He doesn't need to. The message is clear. We're still here. The town never expected to see Jack Nolan rise again. For years, whispers painted him as a man broken beyond repair, a husband abandoned, a father scraping by on half wages, a neighbor people crossed streets to avoid. Now, they see something different. They see children stopping by for bike repairs, women bringing casseroles to the porch, men nodding respectfully when Jack passes. They see a house standing strong where rot once ruled. They hear laughter where silence used to choke. And behind it all, they remember the roar of engines that shook the street awake. Some still mutter outlaws, still clutch purses tighter when leather vests ride past. But most remember something louder, 300 men arriving not to take, but to give, for Jack. The world looks softer, Lily's eyes sparkle brighter, and in the quiet moments, when he oils the new tools on his bench, he whispers gratitude not to men on bikes, but to the brotherhood they carried with them. Because sometimes family doesn't come by blood, it comes by stand. Late one evening, Jack sits on the porch as dusk settles. Lily sleeps inside, curled beneath a real roof for the first time in months. Reese pulls up, engine sputtering. He dismounts, walking slow, almost shy for once. His leather vest doesn't feel like a warning. "I just came to say thank you," he mutters. Jack shakes his head. "You don't owe me thanks." Reese looks away, voice low. "When I was locked up, I swore I'd never have a brother again. Figured the world had its mind made up about me. But you didn't even know me, and you still stood up." Jack studies him, then nods toward the porch. "Sit." Coffee's still warm. The two men sip in silence, listening to cicadas hum and engines rumble faintly in the distance. No words are needed, because gratitude this deep doesn't need speeches. It needs presence. And in that quiet, both men realize disgrace doesn't have the last word. Brotherhood does. Weeks later, the house stands proud, its paint fresh, its porch wide enough for neighbors to gather. A small workshop hums in the back, tools clinking as Jack repairs bikes, toasters, even squeaky doors neighbors once ignored him for. Lily helps, proudly holding screws, her laughter weaving into every fix. Customers pay what they can, sometimes nothing. Jack waves it off, remembering the man he used to be, the man he nearly lost. But word spreads. Nolan Repairs becomes more than a shop. It becomes a story, the place where a single dad gave his last dollar to save a stranger, and in return, found a family no rumor could erase. Some nights, the rumble of engines echoes through the town again. Not 300 this time. Sometimes 10, sometimes just one. They don't always stop. But Jack knows they're watching, reminding him that the brotherhood doesn't ride away from men like him. His roof may be small, but his family has grown. Immeasurable. On a crisp autumn morning, Jack stands at the edge of his porch. The sunrise paints the rebuilt house in gold. Lily pedals past on her little bike, laughter spilling into the cool air. Jack sips coffee, eyes on the horizon. He knows life won't suddenly be easy. Bills will come, work will ache, people may still whisper. But he also knows this: disgrace is not the end. Sometimes disgrace is just soil where second chances grow. He runs a palm across the vest folded on his chair, the word family stitched into its back, and he smiles, because when the world tried to throw him away, when neighbors turned silent, when hope crumbled with his walls, brotherhood came roaring back on 300 engines to say, "Not this man, not today." And from that day forward, Jack Nolan was never alone again. If Jack's story moved you, share it. Tell someone who needs to hear that redemption is real. Not every hero wears a cape. Sometimes it's a single dad. Sometimes it's a man called Ghost. Sometimes it's 300 engines. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more stories that keep hope alive.